Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about the no contact rule explained.
Carefully.
Yes. You know, Margaret, there is a lot of information about breakups online on the internet.
There certainly is.
And there's tons of different channels out there that talk about breakups and no contact and strategies and what to do to get your ex back. And, you know, it doesn't, anybody could start their own channel.
Anybody, right.
And unfortunately, it's often times what we see because we see a lot of bad information out there. And, you know, we like to stay in our own lane here, but we do like to warn you guys. So we know there's a lot of information about what the no contact rule is, and it's your life. You can proceed how you want, but we're going to tell you what we often see and help you have a better understanding of what this is, right?
Right.
So the no contact rule, what does that mean? Why is no contact a rule? What the heck does that even mean, okay? So you go online and you'll search breakup stuff and you see no contact rule, and there's so many different people explaining what it is or what you're supposed to do. It can be really confusing.
Absolutely, and people say that.
Yeah, because going through a breakup is one of the hardest things you're ever going to experience. And the last thing you want to do is not have contact with that person.
That's the last thing you want to do.
It's literally the last thing you want to do. And so if somebody's telling you not to contact your ex, you're probably like, why? No, I don't want to do that. I want to be friends with them. I want to talk them into it. I want to do all these proactive things. Yeah. Well, those things often...
I want to fight for it.
Yeah.
And I've had to say many times, you can't fight alone.
Yeah.
You know.
And a lot of the strategies out there just make the situation worse.
Yep.
We hear it every day. So, okay, let's talk about this. What is no contact? Well, for the most part, it's a period of time where you do not have any contact with your ex, right?
Right.
Now, that's not how we see no contact, but that's the general consensus of what a lot of people say no contact is. This specific period of time, this length of time where you don't have any contact with your ex. Now, there are a lot of different people that say different things about length. You hear 30 days, 45 days, 90 days.
Some people have multiple choice.
Yeah. So it can be really confusing. I think the 30-day no contact rule is absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work like that, okay? So length of time is a big questionable discussion on no contact.
Right.
So what do you think about length of time for no contact? Do you think there's a specific period?
No. And I think if someone has walked away from you, then they're asking you for space, and you need to give them the space that they're asking for.
And I agree with that.
Okay? Yeah.
So we don't believe that there is a specific length of days that you should go without contacting or having contact with your ex. And so that means, I want to clarify real quick, if your ex reaches out to you within this window of 30 days, 45 days, whatever, that you ignore them. Because some people say do that.
Some people say to ignore your partner if they reach out. We don't agree with that.
No. Margaret, what do you think about the mentality of somebody who's recommending ignoring their ex?
Well, I think it's angry.
It's angry?
I think it's angry. And you have a right to be angry at your ex who walked away from you probably without much warning. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, being angry is a reasonable response. But the way you hear some people talk about it, that you want to get even. You know, they just threw you away into the trash, and you somehow are very angry and want to get even with them, and they've treated you badly.
Yeah.
Now that may or may not be true, but if people have a right to walk away from a relationship they don't want to be in. Okay, you would have that right too if you were unhappy with someone. And how would you feel if that person contacted you frequently, guilt-tripped you, pressured you, etc., etc.? Would you be happy? nor will they.
No.
The other thing that keeps coming up no matter what we talk about is the concept of mind reading, all right? And people will insist they know what their partner's thinking, their ex-partner is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I just know, he or she really wants to get into a relationship quickly, and I've heard they might be seeing somebody else, and then they'll totally forget me, etc. So those are all the fears that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think you have to be pretty angry at an ex to ignore them. If you don't want to talk to them, text them.
Yeah. The other thing for me, Margaret, is that we're trying to help people act like adults and have a mature, healthy relationship.
Right.
And how are you going to do that when you're just ignoring them?
And trying to get even somehow.
Yeah. It's not going to be conducive for a healthy situation, which is ultimately what you really want, right? Like if you want to get back with them or, repair the relationship, you got to act like an adult.
Right.
And ignoring them is not going to do that.
No.
Now, there are some times where your ex breadcrumbs you, and you might have to set a limit and say, look, I can't keep having contact with you if you don't want to get together and see how this goes.
Right.
But we're talking about...
And that's okay, that's adult behavior.
Yeah, exactly. But we're talking for the most part when you haven't heard from your ex in a while and they reach out to you and they do the indirect direct approach because they're probably scared and anxious to reach out to you and are afraid you're going to reject them, that we don't want you to ignore them because that may be your only opportunity to repair it. They may be too scared to reach out again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you don't realize that after a length of time, when you don't have any contact with them, they start to fear reaching out to you and being rejected by you. I know it doesn't seem like it right now, but as time goes by, the relationship, the dynamic changes during no contact as it goes on.
And let's remember, this is about love, not about anger and getting even.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this person may indeed have loved you, may still love you, but for whatever reason think it won't work. So we don't want to diss them,
Yeah. And it's just not going to help turn things around.
No.
So what we're trying to say is, as far as lengths of time, we suggest you leave them be and let them reach out to you when they're ready. As far as the amount of contact you have with this person, we say as long as they're reaching out to you, it doesn't matter. Like if they want to reach out to you every couple days and they're saying, I miss you, and, talk about things.
Right.
Like your goal is to really get them to see you in person and to see how it goes and to have a good time with them and, not overwhelm them with all the issues. Really focus on just having a good time with that person, right? And dealing with the stuff as it comes up. But we don't want you to ignore your ex if they are reaching out and they say they miss you or they want to talk or something.
But in the event that you do want them back, you don't want to overdo that either,
Yeah.
And you did love this person at one time. So yes, you're hurt, yes, you're angry, and yes, that's okay. I also see many, particularly men, but certainly not always, folks who at the first contact after a breakup will push for a date. What do you think about that on the first contact?
Well, if you feel like, if you're texting just a little bit here and there and you feel like they're being warm or maybe receptive, then I would say, why don't we get together? I would say, let's get together and see how it goes. But I'm not going to pressure for any talk about the breakup or anything like that. You just want to go out and have a good time with them again. One of the things that I did years ago was I just had this thought like, we just have to talk about it. We just have to talk about it. If we talk about it, it'll be... But that okay. Just overwhelms the other person so much.
Who's overwhelmed also.
Yeah.
Breaking up is pretty overwhelming also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it can be very confusing because if your ex doesn't want to see you and they say, I'm not ready to see you or I don't think it's a good idea, then say, well, I understand. Let me know if you change your mind.
And remember that whenever you're ready is a magical phrase because it plants in your head that you will at some point be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but you also don't want to make them feel like you're going to be waiting around when you say that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it's
whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So, but you just want to show that you're okay. You're not upset. Your feelings aren't hurt.
Right.
You're not angry. a lot of people lose emotional self-control and get upset.
Right.
Sometimes their ex will say, okay, let's get together, and then they change their mind, right? Well,
that happens too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that they won't change it again, but they're probably anxious and worried about things and how they're going and things like that, you know, because if they thought the relationship wasn't working, why would they think it's going to change, right? They're not going to magically think the relationship is going to be fixed.
Oh, you might be surprised. And I'm going to say a little more about that later.
Okay. So what you have to realize is that no contact and not reaching out to your ex does several things. First of all, it is a strategy to reattract your ex. Okay? And some coaches will say that it's not true. They're wrong. I'm sorry, they're wrong.
Yeah.
No contact is a strategy that will improve your chances of reattracting your ex. It's not going to magically fix the problems, but allowing them to feel the separation anxiety from you will increase their anxiety over missing you, over fearing losing you, reconsidering
And that's going to be
things.
the big one. Have you found somebody else? What's going on?
Yeah. That they're afraid of losing you.
Yeah.
And so, yes, part of no contact is a strategy. Now, Margaret, here's something that I see often in the comments. It's a manipulation.
No, it isn't. No, you can choose to not communicate at any time, and it's not a manipulation. If you chose it and you were then using it for manipulation, that's different. But you didn't choose the breakup.
Yeah.
Okay? Your partner chose the breakup. So you're not manipulating, you're simply responding to what your partner said.
That's right.
Which is, I want space from you. Okay.
The way we teach no contact is not a manipulation.
No, it's not.
Okay, we're simply saying you don't reach out to them. We're not telling you to ignore them. That might be a manipulation.
That is a manipulation,
Right?
as far as I'm concerned, yes.
Yeah, but we're not saying to do that. We're simply saying you don't reach out unless they want to reach out to you. And then if they do, you're saying, hey, yeah, I'd like to see you. I'd like to, and act like an adult.
How would it work that no contact was a manipulation?
I think, and I'm speculating here, that some people think, well, when you're not reaching out to them, it shows it's being immature. You're trying to provoke them to get anxiety over the situation.
No, they walked away from you. They started this.
That's right.
Okay? Now, manipulation is to deliberately try to fool somebody. Okay? I want you to contact me, but I don't want to admit that I want that, so I'm going to contact. A manipulation is complicated. Okay? We're saying, no, never will I support a manipulation. It doesn't work, ever. It always backfires. So, no, it's not a manipulation. It's acting like an adult to see what they'll do.
Yeah. And here, you want to know what manipulation is? A handwritten letter is manipulation. A good reminder text is manipulation. Yeah. A clean slate message is manipulation. Okay? Trying to stay friends with your ex is manipulation, right?
Well, yes, and with that, what I always say is that's so I can have it both ways. I want you in my life, I want your emotional support, I want your company, but I don't want to have any obligation to you.
And if you, the dumpee, is saying, I want to stay friends with your ex, and you really don't want to, which some coaches will suggest, that's manipulating because you're not being upfront about what you want.
Right.
And you're settling for less than what you really want. And you're basically doing it as a tactic to try and weasel your way into their life.
Weasel, that's a good word for that.
I feel like it is.
I'm still wrapping my mind around this. So if no contact is manipulation, what is contact? What if you do call your ex a few times?
Well, that seems like, in a way, like if you're trying to reach out, that seems like a manipulation because you're trying to change your mind.
It does to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Respecting somebody's decision and saying, listen, this isn't what I want. Call me if you change your mind. I don't think there's anything manipulative about that.
I don't either. And what people are saying then, if I leave you to your own thoughts and if I leave you to think about it and I don't talk to you. Well, if they've cut it off, then the expectation was not to talk to you.
Yeah, so, exactly.
No, I don't think it's a manipulation. Don't feel like it is. Don't beat yourself up for that.
Yeah. So while it may be a strategy, it's not a manipulation.
The thing that makes a manipulation is that the person you're trying to manipulate doesn't know what you're doing. It's the dishonest aspect of it that makes it a manipulation rather than a healthy interaction.
Exactly.
I don't want you to know what I'm doing here, but...
Like, a handwritten letter is really, you're just trying to change the person's mind.
Right.
If you're honest with yourself. Some of you may be saying, I'm sorry for what I did, but ultimately, it's really because you just want to hear from them.
Right.
A clean slate message, the same thing. Mark?
That's my least favorite.
The clean slate message?
You saw this coming, didn't you? Yeah. The clean slate message means that we're not going to ask anybody to take responsibility for their behavior. We're just going to pretend it didn't happen and go on from here. No.
Mm-hmm. Or the good reminder text.
Oh, yeah. Remember the wonderful time we had at the beach?
Yeah. Which is basically an indirect, direct approach.
Yeah.
These other coaches are telling you to do an indirect, direct approach. Now, what is stronger? Showing your ex that you're strong enough to leave them alone, mm-hmm. or using an excuse to contact them? Because clearly, to me, one of those behaviors is weaker than the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And so we see time and time again that when you act like an adult, respect people's decisions, truly use the no contact as an opportunity to grow and change your life, heal your attachment issues, become a better partner, look at your life and prioritize things differently, maybe your mental health, your issues with anxiety and depression, trauma, all that is healthy and it feels good.
I have had people say to me, can you tell me how to manipulate him or her to take me back? And what I say as gently as I can is no, and if I could, I wouldn't, because manipulations don't work.
And do you really want somebody to be with you because you've somehow tricked them?
Yeah. You don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you. Well, as soon as she gets back with me, she'll forget about all that. Don't count on it. You have to listen to what she's saying to you. Yeah.
Well, we went over a lot of different aspects of no contact today.
Yes, we did.
We didn't quite plan on going into all these different areas, but hopefully it's been a little bit more insightful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you feel that I can be helpful, please sign up and I won't manipulate you at all, I promise.
Just click on Margaret on the top of the website to do that. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon.